because on round 3 we're supposed to change colors. And it says to join with a slip stitch in any regular double crochet, not a front post double crochet. So this is where I started, and it's like it's the chain stitch, and it's a back, what would be considered a regular double crochet because it's not puffed up at the front. So that's where I'm just going to join my yarn, just right there. And I'm going to just to join your new color, you just hold your color at the back and pull through to the front of your work to where you've got a strand of the new color. Just let that other piece go around to the back, and sometimes I'll just hold it with my finger just to sort of hold it tight, and just to sort of like lock it in there because you just got it pulled through. You just want to yarn over and just pull that through, sort of like making a chain, just to sort of get it started and get it ready for the next instructions that you're supposed to do. So then what it says is to chain 3, which of course is going to count as our first double crochet. And I'm just going to chain 2 since I've chained 1 already to just sort of lock that new color into the round. And then what it says is to double crochet in that same stitch. So we're going to come down and just right where I also put my yarn and join my yarn, and I'm going to pull up a loop and double crochet in that very same stitch right there. So I've done 2 double crochets right there. And then it says to front post double crochet in the next stitch. And so what it's wanting you to do is to front post double crochet around that very next front post. And it's easy to see those because they puff up or stick up in front of the work. So I'm just going to yarn over, and I'm doing a front post double crochet now with my yellow. Then the instructions say to do 2 double crochets in the next double crochet, and that next double crochet is just hiding back here behind these 2 front posts of the previous row. So I'm going to yarn over, stick my yarn under the 2 V's of that double crochet on the previous row, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets in this same space. That's what it wants you to do. And then it wants you to come back to the front and do another front post double crochet around that front post double crochet of the previous row. And so now I've done 2. I began the row with the chain 3 that counted as the first double crochet, and then I did another one in that same space. So I did 2 double crochets sort of at the back. Then I did a front post on top of the front post of the previous row, did 2 more double crochets at the back, and then did a front post double crochet around that next front post double crochets. And like I said, you can see the front post double crochets sticking up. So now after I've done that front post double crochet, I'm supposed to come down in the back and do 2 more regular double crochets in the same stitch, and then a front post double crochet. So I'm just doing a regular double crochet, but I'm doing it around the post of the previous row. And let me just do that one more time so you'll see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets in that double crochet at the back, which is the next double crochet, and then I'm going to yarn over, still yarn over like you're doing a regular double crochet, but before you finish the double crochet, you're going to go under and grab that post of the stitch in the row below, and then just do your double crochet as normal. And so I've just completed now that 3rd round. So the instructions say at the end of that round 3, I was supposed to join with a slip stitch. So that's what I did at the top of that first starting chain. And so now I'm at the beginning of row 4. It says not to chain at the beginning of this row, and that we want to skip the next stitch, and we're going to 5 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to skip a stitch and do a slip stitch, and we're supposed to do that all the way around. So when it's talking about skipping stitches, if I'm looking at my work here and you're looking at the V's, and you can even look at the post stitches too. So if I'm looking at the post stitches, like here's a post, there's a post. So if I'm looking at that right there, that's like a stitch, and I'm supposed to skip there. So I'm not supposed to go in under that first V right there. I'm supposed to skip that one and actually come over here and go under that one right there. So that's where I'm going to put my my double crochets. And I know it seems a little awkward because you've not done your chain stitches, but if you have to, hold your finger to come in here and yarn over so that you can get that first one in. And once you get the first one in, it's really not difficult. And like I said, that's one, and then we're doing these 5 on that very same stitch. I think that's 4. Let's count here. I'm not sure, so I have to look. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got to do one more. So now I've done the 5 double crochet in that stitch right there. And now the instructions say to skip the next stitch and slip stitch in the next stitch. So I'm not going to slip stitch in because all the 5 are going in there. So I'm going to skip this one here, and I'm actually going to slip stitch over here on the next one. And the slip stitch, you put your hook in, yarn over, and pull through, and then I'm going to also pull through that same loop on my hook. And so basically what I've done is I've made the 5 double crochets, and then we've sort of like anchored it like down into the work, and that's is what's going to give it the scallops. And so now we're going to do this all the way around. I'm going to yarn over. Again, it says to skip, so I'm not going to do my 5 double crochets in that very next V, which is right here. I'm going to skip and go over to that one because it says to skip. And if you have to, pull it apart so that you can see, where you're at and where you're supposed to skip. So I'm going to yarn over, skip that next stitch, and if I look, sometimes you have to really sort of look, and I can see where my yarn's coming out of for that slip stitch. So it's really not that one there, but it's this one here that I got to skip and go over. So just make sure you really look at your work to see where you're supposed to put those next 5 double crochets. And that's 2, 3, 4, 5. So then after the 5 double crochets, we're supposed to skip the next stitch, not this one, skip that one and come into this one and do a slip stitch, because that slip stitch is what anchors it down, like I said, and makes it look like a scallop. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, skip the next stitch, so not where my yarn is coming through, where I just did my slip stitch, and I'm not going to go in that very next one because I'm skipping it, but I'm going into the next one, and that's where I'll do my 5 double crochets. So that's 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then skip the next stitch and go into the next one, and then pull up and do a slip stitch to anchor it. So now I've done 3 of the scallops by doing 5 double, starting at the beginning, skipping 1, doing 5 double crochets in the next stitch, skipping a stitch and doing a slip stitch, 5 double crochets in the next one, then skipping a stitch and slip stitch, then skipping a stitch and doing 5 in the next one, skipping a stitch and doing a slip stitch. And continue to do that all the way around. End up with is your coaster with all the scallops made.